The purpose of this video is to show you how to access our working paper template, how to use the working paper template, and how to submit it for DIA's review during the conference. In order to access the template, simply go to our website, nmun.org, and then click on the At the Conference button. On this page, you'll find a link labeled Form for Working Papers and Resolutions. Of particular note is that pre-written resolutions or clauses that you've written alone are not allowed at NMUN. To access the form, simply click on the link and it will open up the Google Docs template that we're using for NMUN New York. In order to use this template, click the File button and then make a copy, and it will ask you for a name, and it will ask you what folder you'd like to put it in. In order to keep your files all in one place, it may be a good idea to create an NMUN New York dedicated folder. After I've made the copy, it will open up in my Google Drive, and I can begin. The working paper template for NMUN New York is fairly straightforward to use. If you look at the text portion of the template, you'll see that you should start by entering the full name of your committee on the first line. Then you can begin working on your preambular clauses. Preambular clauses appear at the beginning of your working paper and establish background on the topic you're discussing. They should begin with an initiating phrase in italics and end with a comma. They're also formatted to automatically have a line break between each clause. When you start writing, you can replace the placeholder text with your own preambular clauses. When you need additional, simply click at the end of the last clause, hit enter, and start typing. Don't forget to italicize your initiating phrases and end each preambular clause with a comma. Operative clauses will come after your preambular clauses. They establish what you're calling for with your working paper. They're numbered, begin with an italicized initiating phrase, and end in a semicolon, except for the very last clause, which ends in a period. Similar to the preambular clauses, you can replace the placeholder text with your own work. And if you need additional clauses, you can simply hit enter at the end of any clause and begin typing. Again, don't forget to italicize your initiating phrases and end in a semicolon. In rare cases, you'll also want to make use of subclauses to add additional explanatory details. In order to add a subclause, simply hit enter at the end of a clause and then hit the tab key to indent and form a subclause. In the incredibly rare instance you need a sub-subclause for an extremely high level of detail, simply hit enter again after a subclause and hit tab again to re-indent and add a sub-subclause. If you have any questions about how to use the working paper template or are having issues, feel free to ask the DIA staff in your committee. Throughout the conference, you'll periodically submit your working paper to DIA staff for review. When you're ready to do so, you'll want to fill out all the yellow boxes on the working paper template. To fill out the first one, double-click at the top of the first page to enter the header. You can then enter the full name of your committee as it appears in the background guide. When you're done, click below, and you can delete the line with instructions about double-clicking. You'll then want to enter your sponsors. Sponsors are any member states that have contributed to the working paper. They should be listed in alphabetical order. Signatories are any delegations that wish to see the working paper brought to the floor. They should also be listed in alphabetical order. Once you've done this, locate the working paper file in your Google Drive. If you right-click on it, you can make a copy, and that copy will be what you end up submitting to the dais for review. Click on the Share button and enter the email address that's provided by the DIA staff in your committee. make sure you notify them and click Send. Once you've done this, the DIAS staff will have access to your working paper. If you have any questions or issues submitting a working paper to your DIAS staff, feel free to ask them during a suspension of the meeting,